Good evening. So just as a matter of clarification, the City Council has a 15-minute Community Development and Renewal Agency meeting scheduled. So our regular business meeting that we have planned will start at 7 o'clock. So we have an item of business to cover. My name is Mike Wickers. I'm the mayor of Cottonwood Heights. I'm also act as the chair of the CDRA. And the City Council acts as members of the board for our CDRA. Item number 2 on our agenda for our CDRA meeting today is a public hearing concerning a proposed adoption of the third amended project area plan and the second amended project area budget for the Canyon Center Community Development Area. So I'm going to officially open up the public hearing for this item and see if there's anybody here that would like to publicly comment on this item. Anybody online or submit comments, Jared? Anybody else? No? Okay, great. So I'm going to now officially close item 2.0, our public hearing on our concerning our proposed adoption of the third amended project area plan and the second amended project area budget for the Canyon Center Development Community Development Area. Item 3 on our agenda is an action item for the board to consider, which is item 3.1, consideration of resolution 2025-03, adopting third amended project area plan and second amended project area budget for the Canyon Center CDA. We discussed this item a little bit earlier. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Great. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-03, adopting third amended project area plan and second amended project area budget for the Canyon Center CDA.
I'll motion to approve resolution 2025-03.
And I will second that.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Highland and a second from Councilmember Holton. Final discussion. Call for the vote. Council member or board member, I guess, Holton.
Yes.
Board member Highland.
Yes.
Board member Newell.
Yes.
Board member Burrell.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Okay, item 4 is just the approval of our minutes for this meeting. The minutes of this meeting will be approved through the following process. The agency's secretary promptly will circulate a draft copy of the minutes to the board members, who then will have 3 business days to provide any proposed corrections to the secretary. The secretary will then circulate a revised draft of the minutes to the board members, and the same review process will continue until such time as no corrections are needed to the draft minutes. Whereupon that draft of the minutes will be deemed approved and will become the final minutes of the meeting. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn our CDRA meeting.
I'll make that motion to adjourn the CDRA meeting.
I'll second.
Motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. And we will begin our business meeting at 7 o'clock. Good evening. My name is Mike Wickers. I'm the mayor of our beautiful city of Cottonwood Heights. And this is the Cottonwood Heights City Council business meeting for Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. I have asked our Public Works Director, Matt Shipp, if he would get us started this evening in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Matt. Item 3 on our agenda today, we have a special opportunity to recognize and honor a very important person that was in our community. First, I want to say thank you to her family and Dennis that have come tonight to help us honor her. I'm going to just read something real quick and then we'll get into this short program. On January 21st, Cottonwood Heights was saddened by the passing of one of its great contributing residents, Edie Wright. Edie's dedication to the Cottonwood Heights community was exemplified by her relentless efforts to establish Golden Hills Park, a 14-year journey that transformed a densely wooded area into a cherished public space. When she discovered the land was zoned for high-density housing, she rallied support from local leaders and residents, ensuring the park became a reality despite funding and other challenges. Her perseverance led to the park's eventual opening, complete with a playground, tennis court, walking trail, and pavilion. Beyond her park advocacy, Wright's love for nature extended to her personal life, where she nurtured gardens, shared flowers with neighbors, and even maintained church grounds. Despite health struggles, she remained active in her community, demonstrating resilience, faith, and an unwavering commitment to beautifying her surroundings. We had asked our previous mayor, Kelvin Colmore, to come, and he had a commitment where he couldn't. But he told me, he said, Mike, Edie was one of the most remarkable women that he'd ever met. We want to turn some time over to Councilmember Ellen Burrell, who is going to invite some members that we've had of the family to come up and speak to us. So go ahead, Councilmember Burrell.
And as the representative of District 4, I had the good fortune of meeting, and I'm going to ask him to stand, meet both Dennis Wright, who is the partner in crime with his wonderful wife, Edie Wright, having lived in our neighborhood on the east side of Cottonwood Heights for how many years? Goes back to the 60s. 54 years. And in those 54 years, their sense of community, having raised their children here, who I would also like Stan and Lisa, please stand. And their family has been a wonderful, glowing example of what can be. Mayor's already cited some of these accomplishments. And so tonight, as we have some members of the community say a few words about Edie, all of you who have a flower in your hand, don't all rush in at once, but just as we're speaking and you see an open opportunity, I'd like you to stand up and bring your flower to Dennis. Because one of the things about Edie was her love of nature and her belief that children need to spend time in the outdoors, bicycling in a park. And it was her vision that she was concerned, where do the children play? They live east of Wasatch Boulevard. Where can the children recreate? It's hilly, and she worked diligently within the structure at that time. Of course, we were unincorporated, so she worked for Salt Lake County. And in addition to that, she did other things to help protect the potential for sprawl or inappropriate development in our foothills. So for all of us, we love this. I love to go up to the edge of my neighborhood, and then I'm in this beautiful open area. And so for so many reasons, I'm so grateful to have this chance to honor the legacy of Edie Wright. great about getting to serve in office is the wonderful people that I meet and get to know. And one of my celebrity people that for me over the decades is still his voice. I'm giving you a clue who's going to speak next. His voice precedes him, and he has done a lot in his own right for the extended community. And so I'm going to ask Ken Verdoya from our historical committee to say a few words tonight about our ED right. And Dennis, if you choose to, there's a microphone here that you're welcome to speak into if it suits you. And if you I know your voice, so you may not need it, but anybody who wants it, you just.
Ken, we would love you to speak into the microphone because then it'll get recorded. And so for those that are watching, yes, if that's possible. Thank you.
Members of the council, members of the city staff, and more importantly and more collegially, my friends and neighbors. My name is Ken Verdoya, and I'm delighted to represent the Cottonwood Heights Historical Committee this evening. One of the significant commitments of our historical committee is not just to relegate our work to bygone artifacts of a forgotten time. History is not just a collection of stuff that we find from years ago. History is written each and every day by our actions in the community. What we do today is going to touch generations that are unborn. And those generations will judge us. They'll praise us, they'll thank us, and they will at times wonder what the hell we were thinking. That's the course of public discourse and decision making. I first met Edie more than 30 years ago when I sat on the Cottonwood Heights Community Council, which predates our incorporation as a city and was a beloved predecessor of the city council and our mayor's and council form of government now. But we faced difficult decisions. Now, I didn't have a lot of interactions with Edie, just a couple. But those interactions with her gave me one of my life's precious lessons. And it goes something like this. What we build as a community, what we construct, is very important. And it provides us that sense of developmental progress that we can point to as a community. We love to cut ribbons. Building is important. But what also is vital to a community is what we preserve. It really helps define who and what we are as a community. What do we hold dear? What do we carry forward? What informs the next day of our existence? That was a wonderful lesson that Edie shared with me. That while we have the capacity to grow and develop, so too should we have the knowing balance of preserving and carrying forward. Whether it's a special spot in our natural landscape, whether it's a corner of our community that's rooted in history, may we always be mindful of what we can preserve. Because, my friends and neighbors, that too defines us in a very special way. And I'm very grateful that Edie shared that lesson with me. Thank you.
And some of our past mayors were not here to give their word to Dennis and his family, but I would like to pass along, I'll be passing along a few other remarks. We have our representative, Galen Benyon, is here. I don't know if there's any remarks you'd like to make tonight. And I'm going to untangle this, and I would like, I'm going to model the behavior. Please come and forward and bring Dennis.
I'll just talk about how much we all love nature. I think most of us are in this community because of our love for the mountains and for the beautiful natural resources that we enjoy in our community. And partly that's why I serve on natural resources, agriculture, and natural environment, and the environmental quality committee at the legislature, is to help do what I can to preserve our canyons and clean air and water and best use of our land. And so I thank Edie and Dennis for their work to create that beautiful park and to be active members in our society working for the things that we enjoy now. I have enjoyed many times at that park. There's an early morning exercise group that sometimes I've joined there. And I've been there for community meetings that we've had. And it's just a great resource. So I thank both of you and your family for everything that you've done to help us in our community. Thank you. Yeah.
Right, and now Ben Hill from our Cottonwood Heights Rec.
So yeah, I'm Ben Hill. I'm the executive director up at the Cottonwood Heights Parks and Recreation Service area. I've got tonight with me Bart Hopkins, who's one of our Board of Trustee members. Bart's been a part of the Board of Trustees or Cottonwood Heights Parks and Recreation for 45 plus years, since 1980s. And his comment was, Eddie, if you wanted something to get done, you call Eddie, and she'll make sure, Edie, sorry, you'd call Edie, and that would happen. As a professional, so I've been in the Cottonwood Heights area now for 10 years, but 20 years of Parks and Recreation. We strive and thrive on parks, and that's what makes us part of the community. And it takes a citizen like Edie to motivate that. And so I can't do my job without that individual. And most of the time it is one, and then they get the group together, and then we get growing and growing. So on behalf of all Parks and Recreation professionals, thank you so much for you and your family.
Great. And Laurie Stringham from the Salt Lake County Commission was planning to be here tonight. Unfortunately, her father is in critical condition and she was not able to make it. But from the bottom of the hearts of those on the commission in Salt Lake County, Edie, her contribution working with Randy Horici and others has made an indelible mark for the positive. I'd also like to read, Scott Cuthbertson was planning to be here tonight, and he had a last-minute emergency, and his remark is, she did model good and is a model for our youth to look up to and engage in a life of service. We've run out of time, unfortunately, but I'm so glad I got to meet Sky tonight. She is the granddaughter. And are there other family members here? Tara is here tonight, and her husband, Alex. So Stan traveled all the way from Colorado to be here tonight. He gets on a plane tomorrow for New York, did you tell me? So this is a special moment in time. I know it is for me. I had planned to tell all my stories, which are rather numerous, about Edie and Dennis, but I've simply run out of time. So we'll share those amongst ourselves and continue to support Dennis and in our neighborhood as the days and weeks and years ahead. And so again, in the honor of the legacy of Edie Wright, I thank you so much.
Thank you all, especially to the family and friends that have come to help us to honor Edie. It's been a fun, great opportunity to recognize her contributions. We're going to move on. Item 4 on our agenda this evening is a City Council committee report. So once a month, we give our City Council 3 minutes to tell us a little bit about what they've been working on, some of the initiatives, some of the things that have that they want to share with our citizens. So we're going to start today with Council District 1 and Council Member Matt Holton.
Good evening, everybody. Feel free to get up and leave. You won't offend me. I know you came here for something much more special than me. But couple reports happen to be on the Historic Committee, and we've got some great members that have spent this evening with us from that committee. There's additional work being done on the Veterans Memorial. Nothing set in stone, so if you have opinions there, feel free to share. But it's something that we want to make sure that we do as a community to honor those veterans that have served our nation. A couple other things, I'm on the Mosquito Abatement Board. Nothing too exciting. Winter is a slow time for mosquitoes, which is good for the district. Lastly, the Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling Board. So you'll probably have noticed that there was an increase over the last couple months to trash pickup. And as a board member, I made it clear that, hey, if we're going to put some additional burden on the residents, totally understand that things are more expensive and trucks have gone up by hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we still need to do our due diligence. And if we're going to ask for more, we need to figure out ways that we can cut. So Pam over at Wasatch Front riffed a few positions and got rid of certain programs that were not deemed to be essential. And so we figured out ways that we could try to pare down as we're asking for a little bit more, that hopefully we can stretch that out as long as we can so that you don't feel any further burden. Aside from that, those are the only updates that I have, and appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, Matt. From Council District 2, Councilmember Suzanne Highland.
Good evening. I serve on the Emergency Management Committee, and sometimes you feel like it's Henny Penny or the boy who cried wolf, because you don't want to say too much, because then people aren't going to keep listening because nothing ever happens. So the whole point of the emergency management is to plan for something we hope we never use. And we're grateful for our emergency planning, those who serve in our city in those capacities. There's just two dates to keep in mind. On April 12th, Cottonwood Heights will have its own shakeout, and encourage the mayor and the council to come and support that morning. And especially because we're so fortunate to have a volunteers who help with our communications. And that would be, of course, the worst possible outcome is when the communications go down, you have no idea who's where and what to do. And so that volunteer group is so critical. So come and see them on April 12th in the morning. And then April 17th is the statewide shakeout. So we do plan and prepare for something we hope we never need. The only other item that I've been working on is short-term rentals. And there's a committee that's studying, how that's impacting our communities. And I'd like to just encourage all of our citizens to come to a town hall on February 25th. That's next week at 6 p.m. Well, part of our research is to gather, citizen input. And because we are the city between the canyons, we are disproportionately affected by those who want to come and visit us. And so we need to pay attention to how that's affecting our city and our residents. And of course, it's our desire to preserve and enhance this mountain suburban lifestyle that we love. And we'd like to make sure that the short-term rentals don't disrupt that for our residents, but that we also really harness the opportunity to have visitors come and support our economy. And so please come, spread the news, February 25th, 6 p.m. at City Hall here for the short-term rental town hall. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Highland. I want to thank everybody for being here this evening. I'm Councilmember Newell. I'm also Mayor Pro Temp. So since the mayor had to run, I get to take over and do whatever I want to here in this diocese. I have a couple of different committees that I sit on. One of them is the Canyon School Foundation. One of the great things that the Canyon School Foundation does is organize events throughout the district and the school district, I should say. And on February 10th, we had the Unified Sports Tournament. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Unified Sports Tournament, but it's where we have some of our special needs students from high schools across the valley come and perform and play in a basketball tournament. This year it was at Corner Canyon. It was phenomenal watching these young people come in. And one of the most critical things that I gathered from that event was the young people that came from the student body to help these young people enjoy their time on the court. They stepped in as referees, they stepped in as players, and the engagement that these students had with each other was phenomenal to see them so excited. My biggest moment came up when one young lady just ran up to me and said, "Can I hug you?" And I said, "Of course you can." Made my day, made my week. I'm still on that cloud right now. Another committee I sit on is the Arts Council. We actually have our chair Laura Garcia here. I pointed you out. You come in the crowd, you get pointed out, my friend. The Arts Council does some great things. I don't know if anybody signed up for the Sweet Art Paint Night, but it's this Friday. And it's probably sold out. It usually is sold out. It usually sells out. I did it before and I was too late this time, but trust me, they're okay. They don't want to see what I paint anyways. But the Arts Council is doing some phenomenal work. We have a couple other things coming up with the Arts Council. Ceramics exhibit, which takes place in March, which will be excellent. And if people have the ability to make something other than ashtrays with ceramics, you're more than willing to submit products and items that you make. We love to have our citizens involved in these programs. We also have a salt dance event coming up in March as well. And some of these are still being worked out, but one of the most exciting ones that we have, and I'm trying to hurry up here, is the painting of our electrical boxes throughout the city. And hopefully you've seen those as you've been driving around. We still have a number of those that our council is working on and vetting artists, choosing which boxes will be painted on. It is a great opportunity for local artists to come out. And I implore you, if you know other people that have the ability to create art and have that passion, have them get a hold of Laura and the Arts Council, myself or others, to be able to submit some of their ideas about what they think may work in some of those electrical boxes. Other than that, I'm going to cut it short. I still serve on the South Valley Chamber. And we're working through some legislative items that impact business here, especially small business here in the area. But I'm going to turn it over to the mayor again. He gets his job back. Dang it. But I want to thank you for being here this evening, and hopefully you'll continue to be involved in our community and some of these other committees that we have available for your volunteership. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And from Council District 4, we have Councilmember Ellen Burrell.
This last month, I was approached by our new coordinator for the Healthy Coalition that just started within the last year. It's funded through Salt Lake County, and the name of our Healthy Communities Coalition is called Health in the Heights. And Sandra approached me a few weeks ago that I was nominated to be the champion of this citizen committee. And I have accepted that. And so I look forward to advancing with this group of approximately 25 people from our community, opportunities for the best health practices and healthy lifestyles, and also to help our youth stay on track to stay away from drugs. So it's a drug prevention as part of the funding mechanism. I also want to let everyone know that I'm well aware, as the council is, of the extreme gridlock that occurred this past weekend. Friday morning, Saturday and Sunday morning, but particularly Saturday morning, there was actually 45 minutes of gridlock. So we're talking cars standing still up on the Kings Hill and Blue Jay Lane, which, if you know much about the neighborhoods east of Wasatch Boulevard, we're talking about vehicles in place, idling, trying to get onto SR 210 Wasatch Boulevard. This is beyond anything that any of us have ever experienced. I've lived there for 25 years, and that level of gridlock has never been seen that far up on the hillside. Now, of course, this is something that only lasts for a period of, an hour at the most, but it does speak to our ongoing challenges related to the ways to alleviate this situation. It'll never go away, but probably many of you wonder why I don't give more updates about the gondola. So I'm going to quickly say that for any of you that don't know it, the gondola and the gondola garage that is planned to be built in the phase 3, which would be after 2040, is still in place. There's still a record of decision on that. However, there are lawsuits lodged against it. And so this spring, we may learn more about how this is going to play out in terms of UDOT. Hopefully, I'm working very hard to advance improvements on Wasatch Boulevard SR 210 through Cottonwood Heights city boundaries. So please know that my efforts go on week after week, month after month, and if you are interested, I can write more of a full report on that. I also want to mention that you can mark your calendars coming up in April. There's going to be a bike bus. And if you've never heard that term, this bike bus was put together by our citizens of our own community, led by Kayla Lingal. And it's going to be, I believe, April 20 something. Let's see. It's coming up April, no, I beg your pardon, April 18th. And the idea of this is that children whose parents might be concerned about them riding their bikes, and this one will go to Butler Elementary, they can group up near Bywater Park, and then it'll weave through the neighborhood and get over to Butler Elementary. We're very excited about this. This is one of my things I've wanted to see in the community, is for children to be able to walk and roll safely to school. I also want to mention and commend our Public Works Department under Matt Shipp. He shared with us at our work session tonight what's called a demonstration project, and this will be done to calm and slow traffic on Danish Road near where Daneborg enters Danish Road. There are children that walk in this narrow blind curve area to get to their school bus. And it's something that we've elevated to a level of urgency. And I'm again, very enthused about seeing how this demonstration project, whether it slows the vehicles down through this area in the way that, that's our intention, to figure out how to slow vehicles down in this area, especially that doesn't have yet sidewalks. So I also, just a quick update also related to the Safe Systems for All grant that we got last year. We're waiting to see how it's going to play out, since that's a federal grant under the new administration. We're waiting to hear from the Federal Highway Administration as to whether the funds that were promised to us last year will be released, so that we can do a citywide study of our streets, figure out a way to prioritize where the greatest danger spots are for all of our citizens, whether you're driving, walking, or rolling. So there's some good things that are in the works.
Thank you, Councilmember Burrell. So I'm just going to add a couple of things, then we'll get into our next agenda item. So most of you know, we are working on the city residents approved a bond that was approved in our November election. It's called a GEO bond. The city went to RFP, which is a request for proposal for potential development partners to come in and partner with the city. So we closed that period on February 7th, and we received multiple great bids. And so the city has formed a committee who is now in the evaluation phase of looking at those proposals. And we hope in the next 3 to 4 weeks to be able to actually choose a development partner who we will move forward with to create our new town center and development down at Hillside Plaza. So we're excited about that. The only other thing I'll add is we're in the middle of obviously the legislative session. And so it's an important time for cities to pay attention. I mentioned this a lot during these updates, but it's important for us to know what type of bills are being presented by our legislators and where they are in the process and how they affect cities. And you'd be surprised how many of them do affect cities, sometimes not purposely, but sometimes they do affect how we can do our jobs in trying to bring to pass how we run our cities. So anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to item number 5, which is a citizen comment period. This is just a time for our citizens to address the council, whatever they desire. with whatever they desire. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Please review the public comment procedures on the last page of tonight's agenda. If you haven't already filled out a speaker card, please do so. When making comments, we request that you speak into the microphone, state your name, and that you avoid insulting language or comments. The council is here to listen, but we won't really, don't expect us to engage in a back and forth dialogue. The first comment card I have for tonight is Maggie Mills. Hi, Maggie.
Good evening, and again, thanks for the opportunity to share some more about what's happening at the library. I will not talk about read dogs tonight, but our seed libraries should be starting around March 1st, and that's where we'll have small packets of seeds that you take home, and then we'll also be having some programming around seed propagation, square foot gardening, and then how to save seeds. And you can bring some back and share with others. And we also do a produce swap at the end of the season too. So, and those sort of work with we were talking about this the other night, Councilwoman Burrell at the Health in the Heights, because that's one of the things that we can do to help with that. Some other things that we have. So we have preserve the memory equipment. So if you have old VHS, for example, or old slides, you can check out equipment to digitize those things so it's not lost if you don't have a VHS player anymore or a slide carousel and all that. So we also have telescopes that you can check out. Those we do with the partnership with Salt Lake Astronomical Society. We also have story time to go kits. So the kids can do story time at home with a kit that has various things that go along with the theme of the book and other materials that are in that little backpack. And then just a couple more things that we have. We do have naloxone kits that are available, 1 per person per day. And then we also have gun locks that we distribute too. So, and then finally, we do have, through the library system, a lot of digital resources that could help with small business development, business research, and skill development for workers. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maggie. We appreciate our relationship with Whitmore Library. The next comment card I have is for Mrs. Dagmar James.
There because sometimes people think I'm a Jean.
How'd I do on your first name?
Dagmar?
Dagmar,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you for your time. My name is Dagmar James. I live on Jonathan Drive here in Cottonwood Heights. So I have a few points. My first concern is on Fort Union, the ongoing construction and the parking and crossing to the gear room from the north side to the south side. So I live Jonathan Drive is 1 block from Fort Union. I drive there a lot. There's always people crossing the road, and I think it's very dangerous. And I called actually your office at one time informing also that the whole construction there, the marking of the lanes for driving is very confusing. People are driving all over the road right now. I think, and the gear room is right there where the Fort Union changes, the white mark line on the road. It's very confusing. And so and I'm a gear room customer, but I think when they have to cross Fort Union, sorry, I'm repeating myself, they sometimes have to run across because people don't slow down. So instead of the crosswalk it's really beautiful, but the crosswalk by Bywater Park that was created, why can't we have a crosswalk across Fort Union where the speed limit is 40 miles per hour? By Bywater Park, it's 25 miles per hour. So I think it would help a lot of people and drivers if there would be a crosswalk. And I'm just worried that first something bad happens and a pedestrian gets injured, and I don't want that to happen. My second concern is the dog park. I'm really happy that Cottonwoods has finally a dog park. I just think it's hard since 80% of Cottonwood Heights residents live on the west side of Wasatch Boulevard. So for me to go to the dog park, it's like, I think it's not even maybe a quarter mile, half a mile to walk, but I can't get there by half a mile. I have to do like a half an hour detour. And I think it would be nice to finally have a crossing on Wasatch Boulevard, because even if I cross on Big Cottonwood Canyon Road, I have to go into the canyon and go up mine shaft. There's no crosswalk. If I would want to go up, sorry, now I don't know the road, by Bengal Boulevard, there's no sidewalk to go for me up on Wasatch Boulevard to cross at Bengal Boulevard. So what I do, I cross by Racket Club and Hotel, and a lot of my neighbors do that, and it would be nice to have a crosswalk there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dagmar, for your comments. The next comment card I have is for Mary Ellen Johnson. Hi.
Hello. Okay, my name is Mary Ellen Johnson, 3489 East McIntosh Lane since 1991. I keep hearing of the talk on the importance of safety for our residents in your meetings, which is great and admirable. My point is, how many residents do you actually talk to about what they are experiencing in their daily living? Since you haven't asked me, here are some of my safety concerns for Cottonwood Heights that I see over and over and over. I generally walk about 5 times a week, and you see a lot when you walk daily. I'm always wearing my neon green safety vest to be seen by motorists, whether it's in the dark, at night, or morning, or in the day. In my walks, I pass by water twice, coming and going. I have observed the majority of cars no longer seem to stop at the 3-way stop sign where the crosswalk used to be at Banbury and Brighton, because they know they have to slow down considerably for the newly installed speed bump in front of Bywater Park. It seems like stopping twice is such a bother for so many motorists. I wish residents would have had a say in where to put the new speed bump, because it's not effective in this new location, because pedestrians aren't using it and motorists are not stopping at the 3-way stop. Number 2, there is not a continuous sidewalk on the south side of Fort Union Boulevard. And remember, there's not any type of sidewalk on the north side but a gravel shoulder. The sidewalk ends at 3536 East Fort Union, and then there's a sidewalk for 2 houses, and then again, the sidewalk disappears. For a pedestrian to get to the other side of Fort Union, where the sidewalk is, because of the park and ride, there is not a crosswalk. Cars are coming fast. How is a pedestrian supposed to cross Fort Union safely to access the sidewalk? Number 3, once again, I'm bringing up the safety of the gear room patrons when crossing Fort Union. When is the gear room going to provide safe parking on the side of the road where their store is? From my understanding, the gear room, when their business license was approved, they said customers would be parking only on their side of the road. Clearly, this is not happening. We don't want an accident to happen. Number 4, with winter skiing at its peak, I've seen cars overnight camp in their cars at church and at Bywater Park. They park in the back areas to avoid being seen. My thought is, couldn't Cottonwood Heights patrol cars who are out at night, could they please check these off-limit parking lots for illegal car campers? Friday morning, as we talked about, the traffic was horrendous. I saw the McIntosh Street, which is my lane, blocked for the school bus to turn to pick up kids for the school. It's not working. Do not block. People don't read it. One other thing is Davachi. I'm really so sad that we're going to incorporate that because of the high cost. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Okay, any other comments we need to submit, Jared?
Nothing online.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close the citizen comment period. We're going to move on to item number 6 on our agenda, which are the legislative, or sorry, before we get there, I almost forgot you, Riley. We're going to move on to our standing quarterly report for our Unified Fire Department from our Chief, Riley Pilgrim.
So it wouldn't be the first time I've been forgotten. That'd be all right. No, thanks, Mayor and Council. What I have is our fourth quarter report for 2024. So get this going real quick. Okay, so I'll run through this real fast. I've reviewed it a couple times. Nothing too out of the ordinary, very similar to our past quarterly performance reports. A few things to note I'll share with you. So for October 1 to December 31st of 24, we had 598 total incidents in Cottonwood Heights. Again, 228 were classified as emergent when they were dispatched, so about 38% of our calls. With that, we had about a 15% or 15 call difference from last quarter. So last quarter was 583. This quarter we're at 598. Number that sends, again, I'm just looking at our total yearly incident counts as well at 2,178. And just looking back at the previous 2 years, it's a slight reduction in call volume. So nothing out of the ordinary. As you see, even between those years, they fluctuate anywhere from 20, 30 to 100 calls. And for us, it's nothing, again, too out of the ordinary. We just pay attention to that if it goes up, especially. So, but we're right on course for even the previous quarters in 22, 597, and then last year, 550. So the most common call types per category. So our top fire calls were 3 structure fires, 2 outside or rubbish fires, 2 miscellaneous other fires, and then vehicle or some sort of mobile property like a trailer. Medical calls were falls, which are still pretty common. One of the most common categories or call types we'll see. Sick individuals, head injuries, unconscious, and breathing problems. Then we still see, a significant number of public service calls, which is just anything that doesn't fit into the other categories. The brown ones are typically alarm calls, right? So either a malfunction of an alarm, a false activation, or an unintentional. And so the way we pick those is when the officer gets on scene, they see what they're dealing with. When they come back and do the report, they enter in that call category, so we just classify what's going on. So that's kind of how we track that stuff, and where these call categories come from is the officer on scene has the ability to kind of denote what the call was when they get there. Sometimes they get dispatched. It's one thing. When they get there, they discover something else. So. Okay, for us in Cottonwood Heights, again, this is one I pay close attention to, is just, are we covering our calls, and how much are we bringing in? And so within Cottonwood Heights, we are just over 90% of covering everything that happens here. So 110, a little bit busier than 116, then Midvale. So the closest station, Midvale, just off of 72, Fort Union, about 700 east, will typically respond in, especially on the west side of Cottonwood Heights. Then just other units, either the hazmat unit or just the next closest coming into Cottonwood Heights, Olympus. Taylorsville is a heavy rescue. So anytime we have like one of the heavy rescue calls, you'll see them coming in. Let's see here. Okay, top ambulance responses. So 110, again, is covering the majority of our calls. And then Midvale, the second ambulance, remember these are regional. So there's not an ambulance in every station. We divide those up regionally. To make sure we cover our service area. Holiday comes in, and then we do have right now the peak load ambulance at 116, so just off of Wasatch Boulevard. So the peak load helps take some of the transport requirements or responsibilities or load off of the Valley units. So when the ski resorts get busy, that ambulance is the first one to go up there. Then the captains usually up the canyons will start figuring out how they need to divide up the calls and calling more units and whatnot, so we can keep units up in the canyon, and we just start shuttling the ambulances up and down, which with traffic and all that stuff makes it definitely challenging for our responders, but they do spend a significant amount of time running canyon responses, especially with the ski resorts. So this is one number that I looked at the last couple quarters, and especially last quarter. So our 50th percentile calls last quarter was 516. So we've improved 13 seconds, which typically is turnout time. Sometimes it's call processing from dispatch. Most of the time it's when the tones go off in the station, the crew's moving faster. And for us, that's one of the quickest ways we can reduce our response time is since the station's already in place and dispatch can only go as fast as they can go and we have traffic, the crew tries to get out the door as quick as possible. And so it was awesome to see a 13-second improvement there and a 16-second improvement on the 90th percentile from last quarter. So it's neat when that stuff happens. And then call density, so very, very typical, especially on the western part of Cottonwood Heights. A little more density and more business. We'll definitely see more call volume down there as the heat map also depicts. So again, common to a lot of the quarterly reports where our calls are happening. Then the last thing I have, I'll just make a quick plug for this. I know Ellen's been, and I would strongly encourage anyone who hasn't been, even if there's 2 of you who want to go. Our local, so 1696 is sponsoring fire school. So that's March 21st. It's a Friday. Usually 6:30 a.m. to about 4:30, and you have the opportunity to go out there. You're paired up with a firefighter, and they basically walk you through the day in the life of a firefighter and what we go through, what we do, how we train, the types of calls we go on. Get an opportunity to use our equipment, climb the ladder, put out a fire, cut a car apart. There's all sorts of cool stuff that you get to do when you come to that. So we definitely strongly encourage that. I'll work with Jared to see if there's any interest, but any of you have not been, it'd definitely be awesome to see you there. So I would love it. And outside of that, that's all I have for the report. I don't know if you have any questions.
I'm just going to make a pitch for going to this fire academy. It is a day you will never forget. It's very memorable, educational, and you feel very bonded to these first responders who do so much for our community. So thanks for putting that on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Pilgrim. Appreciate you.
Awesome. You bet.
Yeah. So I'll just remind our council and those who are here with us today, Chief Pilgrim serves as our liaison. We are the only one that get a Chief Pilgrim, an assistant fire chief, as our liaison. We're grateful for that. We need a little extra attention. All right, Riley? Anyway, we appreciate all you do for us and thank you. Thanks for that report. Okay, item 7 is our legislative action items for the council to consider. We have 7 items that we'll be considering as the council, starting with item 7.1, consideration of ordinance 430, approving the third amended project area plan for the Canyon Center CDA. We had the opportunity to discuss this earlier in our CDA meeting. Are there any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve consideration or ordinance 430, approving the third amended project area plan for the Canyon Center CDA.
And so I will make that motion to approve.
I will second.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second from Councilmember Holton. Final discussion. I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Highland.
Yes.
Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Holton.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Okay, item 7.2, consideration of ordinance 431, confirming and ratifying the Tavachi annexation. We also had the opportunity to discuss this item earlier. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 431, confirming and ratifying the Tavachi annexation.
I'll make that motion. Ordinance 431.
I'll second.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Highland. Final discussion. Call for the vote. Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
No.
Councilmember Holton.
Yes.
Councilmember Highland.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. 7.3, consideration of ordinance 432, establishing temporary land use regulations for live workspaces and commencing proceedings to amend ordinances. We also discussed this earlier in our work session. Any other questions or comments from the council?
I would like to say that I want to thank not only some of the people who came to the Planning Commission meetings, studied our neighborhood commercial zone and the conditional use permitting of live work did vigorous work. They called me as the District 4 representative on this project, which is located to the north of Smith's Grocery Store, where the old Wells Fargo lot is up for sale. And so I want to thank them. I also want to thank the mayor. When I went in to talk to him about this issue, he had already studied it. And so I thank him and my other council colleagues who are advancing a moratorium on this CUP of live work until we can improve the legislative language. And I think it was going to help the staff. They have a tough job to interpret both state code and the Cottonwood Heights ordinances and codes and such. So all the way around, I think we can continue to work on these things. So if you'd like me to make a motion, Mayor, I will make that motion to approve the ordinance 432.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second from Councilmember Highland. Final discussion. Call for the vote. Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
Councilmember Holton,
No.
Councilmember Highland,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
I will vote yes. Okay, item 7.4. Consideration of resolution 2025-02 approving agreement with Governance Sciences Group, Inc., DBA flash vote for public input polling. We've discussed this item multiple times over the last few months. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Again, I'm very glad to see this advancing. I think surveys of our residents of Cottonwood Heights is very important. And I think this will be an improvement over the more lengthy and infrequent survey system that we had in the past. And the council, by support with guidance from the staff, has identified this survey system that will happen more frequently each year, and it will be topical and short but still scientific. And I'm very enthused about this. So again, I would be happy to motion in favor of resolution 2025-02.
Clarifying question for that motion. It's just a one-year contract, correct?
Correct.
I'll second that
So,
motion.
do we need to clarify that in the first motion, Shane?
Yeah, that's a good thing to clarify.
Okay, I will motion that, so basically, so everyone knows, they're referring that we could have signed up for a 5-year contract or a 1-year. And so we're going to try it out for a year. And if we like it, hopefully we'll see if we enter into something like. So I motion that we go for a 1-year contract with the flash vote and advance resolution 2025-02.
Second that.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second from Councilmember Holton. Final comments? Call for the vote. Councilmember Holton,
Yes.
Councilmember Highland,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes. and
I will vote yes. Item 7.5, consideration of resolution 2025-03, approving agreement with H.W. Lochner for design services. We also discussed this item earlier. Are there any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-03, approving agreement with H.W. Lochner for design services.
I'll make that motion to approve resolution 2025-03.
And I will second Mr. Newell.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Holton. Final comments. Call for the vote. Councilmember Highland,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
Councilmember Holton,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Item 7.6, consideration of resolution 2025-09, approving appointments to Health in the Heights Advisory Committee. We also discussed this item earlier. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-09, approving appointments to Health in the Heights Advisory Committee.
And once again, I'm very thrilled with the robust membership that is building in this citizen committee. And so I will motion that we approve Resolution 2025-09.
I'll second.
A motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second from Councilmember Newell. Final comments. Call for the vote. Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Holton.
Yes.
Councilmember Highland.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. The last legislative item for this evening is item 7.7, consideration of resolution 2025-10, approving appointments to the Planning Commission. We also discussed this item earlier. Any other questions or comments from the council? None, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-10, approving appointments to the Planning Commission.
I will make that motion, appreciative of Gary Barnes being willing to serve on the city's planning commission. And so I'd like to motion to approve resolution 2025-10.
I'm happy to second that.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Highland and a second from Councilmember Holton. Final comments. Call for the vote. Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Holton.
Yes.
Councilmember Highland.
Yes.
Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Great. The last item on our agenda this evening is just approval of our consent calendar, which is the minutes from our previous meetings on February 4th for our work session and business meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second
Well, if I may, I'm sorry. I had a chance finally to read through those minutes, and there were a few things that I need to correct, and I think that they're too. I'd rather do that if we can delay this until next meeting, if it's not a problem. I'd like to ask that we delay the approval of the February 4th minutes until our next meeting. May I make that motion? I motion to postpone the approval of 8.1, which is the minutes from the February 4th council meeting.
I'm willing to support that. I'll second it, of course.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, could I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.